Hey, it's your pal Sully, and I'm on the road.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. I have been a baseball podcaster for well over a decade now. This is my sixth full season here as a member of the Locked On Podcast Network. And as you can tell, I am not in the glorious Locked On MLB studios in Pasadena, California, like I normally am. I'm actually on the road. I'm in my mother's house right now in Northern California, and I found a little corner to do the intro and the outros of today's show. And we're also going to be playing a part of an episode that I did for Locked On A's, which I am also hosting every day. So you get 10 episodes of your pal Sully, and I'm sneaking this one on Saturday because I had no time to record this yesterday. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available for U.S. customers. I'm going to, first of all, let's go over who owned baseball yesterday. Tough choice in the American League because Andy Paez had 4 hits, including a walk-off shot, a walk-off single. That's exactly what the Dodgers need right now, another star. But I actually went with Fernando Tatis, who got 3 hits, including a homer, as the Padres are making their case to get back into contention with their 7-1 victory over the Diamondbacks. Nolan Schnuel, I've never said his name until just right now, probably mispronounced it. He powered the Angels past Cleveland 6-0. Cal Quantrill, not often you have a Rockies pitcher owning baseball. He pitched 7 2/3 a shutout ball, and the Rockies beat the Pirates 3-2. And Cole Irvin pitched another solid game as the Orioles blanked the Reds 3-0. Half wads to Brent Batty and his 2 home runs. Riley Green got on base 4 times, but the Yankees walked off the Tigers. George Kirby, another terrific outing for a Mariners pitcher. But they lost to the Astros 5-3, and Hayden Wesneski struck out 8, and the Cubs beat the Brewers. And I got to talk about the Cubs and the Brewers right now because a viewer has called me out on something, called some of us out on something. That is Andrew Wallace 847. He sent me a YouTube comment saying, at the time of this stream, this was I think on Wednesday's show, we did the power rankings. Um, at the time of this stream and following the game, mentioned in stream the Cubs had not moved into first ahead of the Brewers. Stupid media, big and small, is laughably stupid for the Cubs every year. LOL, fool's gold always. Um, yeah, well, I got to just say a couple things. First of all, I did indeed pick the Cubs this year. It was kind of by default. They seemed to have the strongest team in a division where not a lot of people were going for it. Last year, I picked the Cardinals. And I said they're the only team going for it. And they, of course, finished in last place. Of course, it's too early to be crowing too much about the standings. I think it's impossible to talk about standings until we get beyond Memorial Day. But you're right about something. People do underestimate the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers made the postseason in 2019 where they lost the heartbreaking wild card game to eventual World Series champion Los Angeles. They lost the wild card series in the COVID year to the eventual World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. The best Brewers team, I think, of recent years was the 2021 team, who lost the division series to the eventual World Series champion Atlanta Braves. They just missed out of the 2022 postseason, where they finished a game behind the eventual National League champion Philadelphia Phillies. And last year they lost in the wild card series to the eventual National League champion Arizona Diamondbacks. So I guess the pennant kind of has to go through Milwaukee the last few years. But Yeah, it's true. They've had a lot of talent and people have overlooked. Now, you will forgive some of us for overlooking the team because a little bit this year because they lost their manager, Craig Counsell, obviously. They traded away their ace. And so it looked like they were kind of in that little neutral zone of, well, we're not really going to be contenders this year. But here's the deal. And teams make note. Sometimes one of the best moves you can do managerial wise is to get someone who has a little bit of experience and maybe didn't have great success and has and when they've been removed from their previous job think, if only had another chance I do A, B, and C right. Because that's exactly what Milwaukee did with Pat Murphy, who had a shot with the Padres, didn't work out with San Diego, doesn't always work out. And now he's come over to the Brewers with that sense of if I had one more shot. Now, Council did do a fabulous job with the Milwaukee Brewers, but you got to give a ton of credit to what Murphy has done with Milwaukee at this point, and especially in the wake of not having Burns. And Burns is pitching quite well for Baltimore. Thank you very much. But they still have Peralta, and Peralta is a fine pitcher, and he's pitched well so far this year. Colin Ray has pitched well this year, and Joe Ross pitched well the other night or as I guess it was Friday afternoon, in these head-to-head matchups between the Cubs and the Brewers that are critical. Yes, these are critical games happening right now. If the Brewers want to finish ahead of the Chicago Cubs, and I have a sinking suspicion that they want to, then winning head-to-head games like this are very important. It would have been important if they still were doing the 19 games head-to-head the way they used to, but now there are fewer games. And so if you want to make up any time, if you want to give them, the head-to-head record to me is not as important in terms of a tiebreaker because they have to finish with the exact same record for that to mean anything. But if the Brewers want to push the Cubs away, chip away at the magic number in early May, so you can build upon that later, these are big matchups to have. And quite frankly, the way that the Brewers won yesterday, where it was a come from behind win, Morel, who seems to always have a big hit for Chicago. I don't know why. If you just look at the highlights, you assume Morel was having a 50-50 season. But the Brewers, they fell behind, but then William Contreras came in big. He's an all-star. Willie Adames came in big. He's an all-star. Jake Bowers came big. Don't know if he's an all-star, but Churrillo got a stolen base, and next thing you know, boom! I mean, Contreras got the big, huge clutch hit right there, and Bryce Terang got a couple of big hits in the game yesterday, and boom, 3-1 in Wrigley. Put the Cubs immediately on their heels. Put the Cubs immediately in a situation where they're like, "Oh my God, we better win this, otherwise we're gonna have this series slip away." And when you get down the stretch in September, I'm a broken record about this, but if the Brewers and the Cubs are in a dogfight, these wins they have now are going to catch up. So, yeah, we have slighted the Brewers. Yeah, we have not given them the credit they deserve for the bunch of fine seasons they have and the good team they have now, because it slips through the cracks when they don't go far in the postseason. And then you say, they're trading away their ace and they lost their manager. Forgive some of us, but it is May. We got to see what's going to happen because the Cubs are a strong team with good players. Are they fool's gold? Well, they weren't fool's gold in 2016. They weren't fool's gold when they went to the NLCS 3 straight years. But they've been this decade where they've only made the postseason during the COVID year. Yeah, they've been a strange organization. It's been tough to figure out what they are. They clearly were going for it this year, but whether or not they'll get it, that's to be seen. But I'm obviously, part of me wants to see the Brewers win the World Series because I like generational moments. I like it when it's the first time a franchise ever won the World Series, like it was when the Nationals won, and it was when the Rangers won last year. The other reason is I want it to be simple to answer the question, when was the last Milwaukee World Series championship? Because right now you have to say, well, the Brewers haven't won, but the Braves did win, Make it simple. It used to be, when was the last time Washington won a World Series? Well, the Nationals never won, but the Senators won in 24, and boom, easy, 2019. That's what Milwaukee needs. Their boom, easy 2019 moment. We're going to read a couple ads right now, but when we come back, I'm going to play you a segment from the Locked On A's podcast. I'm hosting Locked On A's podcast maybe this whole season. I don't know. But I talked a little bit about another Midwestern team, the Chicago White Sox, and why their troubles are eerily similar to what is currently happening in Oakland. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers. Hey, it's time for you to make the switch for your new place of the biggest stories sports has to offer. It is Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program to bring you every day the biggest stories. Locked On Today gives you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or on the free Amazon Fire TV channels that part of the Locked On Podcasts Network, where it's your team every day. Hey, some of you may know this. This year, I have become the guest host of Locked On A's. That's right. Let's go, Oakland. And there was a hole in the Locked On roster and a lot of stuff going on with the A's. And I called up and said, I'll step in, but not in lieu of this show. I'm giving you 5 episodes of this a week and 5 episodes of Locked On A's. Well, I'm going to play you a section of the latest episode of Locked On A's. Maybe as a teaser, you can go subscribe to that show as well. Get twice amounts of your pal Sully every week. And in this segment of the episode, which I dropped late on the evening of the second day of May, I talked a little bit about the fact that the problems going on with the White Sox sound eerily similar to the problems that have befallen the Oakland Athletics this year. So here's a little segment of me hosting on Locked On A's. Tell me if this sounds familiar. A team plays in a very large and, well, populous part of the country where there's a lot of money. They have to share the region with another team that plays in a quaint, beautiful ballpark, has won a recent World Series, and everybody assumes they're the number one team of the region. Now, the second team had won a championship more recently than the more glorious team until things changed in the 2010s. But they also play in a stadium that is in a neighborhood that gets, well, bad press. And the stadium is obsolete, clearly from a different time, and doesn't have any of the modern amenities, and is falling apart. And despite a little bit of facelift here or there, they're letting it crumble. And the team has had recent success, and a bunch of young players led them to early trips to the postseason at the beginning of this decade. But now lots of people are disparaging the stadium, where it's located, and you're seeing the attendance drop as the play of the team is crumbling. Their best players are traded away. They're getting virtually nothing in return. And the owner is playing footsie with another city that's better known for wild entertainment. However, there is a movement to keep them in the city. They're moving to keep them in the city with these wonderful renderings of a waterfront ballpark that will keep them there and maybe lead a new renaissance. The pictures are really nice, but here's the problem. How is it going to be paid for? And other stadiums in the region are probably going to be built because there's more interest in that team. Usually the NFL brings that kind of attention. And with that, there's lots of posturing, lots of nice renderings, but in the end, their owner is looking to move to that big entertainment city. Which team am I talking about? Am I talking about the A's or am I talking about the White Sox? Because what's happening with the White Sox is A's 2.0, right down to the owner who everyone seems to hate, and everyone seems to think that this owner has their eyes set on greener pastures and not having to share their market with someone else. And they have unabashedly played footsie with the other team. All of the little traps that were put out over the last bunch of years that eventually catapulted the A's out of the Coliseum into nowhere, into a minor league stadium with no real plan in Las Vegas. I don't care how many investment firms they align themselves with, or how many pictures and articles of the renderings that they want to put of the stadium in Las Vegas. There's no plan there. And on ballots and all the people who run that area around that say, basically, we're in no rush. We're in no rush to build anything here. They're not. They're basically taking a look at the crap show that the A's are playing and thinking, well, I don't know if we want to do this. The crap show they like in Las Vegas is the one that results in lots of money in the casinos. I'm going to talk a little bit next week about stuff about Vegas, and the more and more I'm thinking this probably isn't going to happen. But Chicago, the White Sox, a team I've always had a soft spot in my heart for. A team that I'm very glad won that World Series in 2005, but have always been the second thought of Chicago in a way that the A's have, with the exception of that time in the 1980s and early 90s, the A's have struggled to be the team of the Bay Area. The White Sox have never been able to, even when they won the World Series in 2005, people seem more interested to catch Cub fans' reactions. Yes, I know there are rabid White Sox fans out there. I've interacted with them, the Jimmy Pardos of the world and everyone who's huge fans of the White Sox. I get it. I know it. You're out there. You're rabid White Sox fans. But look what's happening. The whole thing of disparaging the ballpark. We need a new ballpark. Well, I did a video last year in Locked On MLB about the fact that they built the wrong ballpark. They had a chance to build the first Camden Yards and they turned it down. And I've been to New Comiskey Park or what Guaranteed Rate Field, U.S. Cellular Field, whatever the hell it's called now. That's not, by the way, when I can't remember the name of a stadium, it doesn't mean I'm slighting that stadium. It means I can't remember. Teams change their stadium names so often, it's hard for me to keep up. I digress. You're seeing that Reinsdorf, who has delivered to Chicago fans multiple NBA titles and a World Series championship, but a lot of that is, what have you done for me lately? In these last few decades, the Reinsdorf team have not produced much in terms of titles or even great teams for that matter. And it looked like they're putting together something really special in Chicago at the beginning of this decade. And then things fell apart. And you're saying, oh, do they need a park? Oh, maybe they'll build a park in the South Loop. And we're seeing these beautiful renderings of the South Loop Stadium. Wouldn't that be something? Oh, that'd be amazing. But here's the deal. They're going to build the Bears Stadium. There's more interest in the Bears Stadium and turning what was Soldier Field into a public park and turning the Bears Stadium to this massive dome. And that's going to be really expensive. And whatever the price tag they're proposing is, and I know it's going to be double that. But this way they could have the Super Bowl in Chicago. This way they can have a bowl game in Chicago. This way they could have all sorts of stuff, maybe World Cup stuff in Chicago, which you can't do in a White Sox stadium. There's no way the White Sox are going to get the public money to build a stadium if they're also building a Bears stadium. and they're already playing footsie with Nashville, which, unlike Las Vegas, is a much better place for a baseball team. Nashville is a great place. You've got fans. You have fans there, and you also have the type of fans you need for baseball, which are fans with deep roots and identity of the city. You can't have a place with transplanted fans and a transplanted population. The roots are deep in Nashville, and whatever team goes to Nashville should have a tremendous amount of success. They still don't have a stadium there. There's still not a place to play. But it's funny. I went to a minor league game in Nashville back in, I think it was 2018. 2019. I can't. It was a few years ago. I went to a game there, and I went to First Horizon Park, and I actually did an old Sully baseball podcast there, and it's a nice minor league ballpark. There's no getting around that was, but it seats about 13,000. They'd have to expand it, and it's not ready to be a major league ballpark. So if the White Sox play this game the way the A's have, they're going to be in a similar spot in that they can't just move to Nashville. They're going to have to build a park. They have to get the funding, which I think may be easier to do in Nashville, but still you will have a situation of a lame duck franchise in Chicago where the attendance will plummet and the ability to put a quality product in the field will plummet as well. If we had a commissioner other than Rob Manfred, we would see that part of the commissioner's job would be to stop things like this from happening again. We saw what happened with Montreal, but Montreal had a stadium to go to. There was just legal hassles with Baltimore to move a team to Washington. There's no place to go in Vegas. There's no place to go in Nashville. And we're seeing the White Sox doing these same points. The White Sox, where the White Sox are now, or where the A's were in 2021. When you started saying, well, maybe Howard Terminal, maybe in Laney College, maybe in Jack London Square, playing a little whack-a-mole, throwing these nice drawings, but nothing realistic about it. This whole tune sounds awful. And quite frankly, if you are an A's fan and you know someone in the south side of Chicago, call them up and say, I'm here for you. PrizePicks. It's America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. Just pick more than or less than 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. This is a great time. You got basketball at the top of its game, and you can win up to 100 times your money at PrizePicks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. PrizePicks offers injury insurance, so that means your entries can stay in play even if one of your players gets hurt. And PrizePicks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. They offer weekly promotions and special offers for the biggest moments in sports. So, download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB first deposit match of $100. Let me say that again. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. Pick more. Pick less. Do you know what it is? In the end, it's really that easy. Hey, I gotta say timeout right now. All right. Timeout. We got to pause right here. We need to talk about Monopoly Go. Now, I know what you're saying, flag on the play, football reference. You've already said that. But you know what? There's so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with your friends for time tournaments where you can work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much you can get. Unique stickers where you can trade with a friend to complete albums for big prizes. You can get cool, new playing pieces and traveling the boards with hilarious emojis, taunting your friends when you smash their buildings and heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every single time you play it, with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include the great fun stuff like unique mini games, like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always something new with the timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover on Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download for free on Google Play or on the App Store. Do you know what? Game on. This is a reminder that Locked On has begun, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on the Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channel app. All right, I am still in my mom's house using my mom's computer to record this thing here. So just games are starting up soon. The Tigers and the Yankees are resuming their fight. Yankees bats woke up in time to walk off the other day. Hey, the Minnesota Twins now have, what is it now? It is a 11-game winning streak. They are now only a game and a half out of first place. And Lopez is pitching tonight for the Twins against the Boston Red Sox. So we'll see what happens there. The player Lopez was traded for with Miami was Luis Ariz, who got traded to the San Diego Padres. I'm going to talk in an upcoming episode about why the Marlins just aren't working. The White Sox and the Cardinals, two disappointing teams in the Midwest, are facing off today. Brewers, Cubs, Tyone versus Myers. We're going to see how that goes because Tyone's been a decent pickup for the Cubbies. Pirates need to dust themselves off. The Rockies seem to be a good way to pick up some wins, but it wasn't the other day with Cal Quantrill pitching well. The Blue Jays and the Nationals, one of the most disappointing teams in baseball, are the Blue Jays. Believe it or not, the Nationals are 500 right now. The Nationals are a rebuilding team. The Blue Jays are supposed to be winning. They got to do something in Toronto soon. A's, Marlins. A's win. They're a 500 team. Check out Locked On A's later because I'm going to be doing something on location. The Phillies are playing the Giants, and the Phillies, they're just tremendous. They're an absolutely tremendous team. And I got some criticism from some of the fans about why the Phillies weren't higher in the power rankings. I agree. I think I had them at number 2, but remember, I'm not the one who makes the list. I just throw in my vote. Angels, Guardians. The Angels actually got a win the other day. Good for them against the Red Hot Guardians. We'll see if Lively could go up against Detmers. Means is pitching for Baltimore. That's good to see him pitching again against Abbott. So the Orioles and the Reds are clanking off there. The Rangers, they lost the other day. The Rangers have fallen to are in second place and are letting the A's possibly catch them today if they lose again to the Kansas City Royals, who are on fire. Mariners, Astros, Gilbert versus Valdez. The Astros are starting to turn things around a little bit. They've won 5 of their last 10, which is better than they've been doing before, and they're creeping up. They're still in 4th place, but there's too much talent there. Mets, Rays. It is Christian Scott's major league debut as the Mets are trying to pull up all their young players. The Rays haven't quite got it together. There's too much talent there. The Padres probably won't have Luis Ariz there in time. King against Fott in that matchup of NL West teams. And then the star heavyweight match of today, Elder versus Glasnow, Braves versus Dodgers. Is that a National League Championship Series preview? Well, if I say that, all the Brewers fans and Phillies fans will snicker because it will probably be Phillies Brewers. But anyway, it'll be fabulous matchups. Great ball games going on today. Guess what? I'm going to a ball game myself. If any of you are going to be in the Oakland Coliseum today, shoot me a message at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Well, wrapping this up from my mom's house, this has been Locked On MLB for the 4th day of May, 2024. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. I won't have this set up for the next one. You can call me Sully.